Welcome, parents and students. Are you worried about COVID-19 might affect your college admissions? Are you worried about the rising cost of the college? And then you need to listen into this workshop. So in the past, we have been doing workshops in the public libraries and the high schools. Those are some pictures you can see. And today we are going to bring this workshop online for you, so make it really convenient. You can watch it from home. I'm going to introduce you our featured speaker, Adam Blumenthal. Adam is our leading consulting advisor. He has been featured on CBS, ABC, and NBC, those famous media. And he's also the author of the book, The Secrets of a College Financial Aid Expert. In the end, you will have the chance to make a Zoom appointment with us if you have any specific questions. Adam, take away.
So the title of today's webinar is College Funding, The Secret of a College Funding Expert, an insider's guide to college admissions and financial aid. Unfortunately, today, I need to cover another topic in today's workshop, parents' biggest concerns regarding COVID-19. So that being said, today I'm really going to go through a lot of information. On the evaluation form I've attached, I know one of the bits of feedback that you might give to me is you move too fast. You don't give me enough information in one particular area or subject. I already know that. But I can only cram in literally hours of information in a short presentation. So if you have a question, if something hits a hot button for you, or you want to go over with me or one of my authorized advisors in more detail for your specific situation, I'm going to be offering a free 1-hour personalized college admissions and financial aid evaluation to each and every one of the families attending today's presentation. Obviously, everyone today will want to take me up on this offer, and I'll share with you how in a few minutes. But with everything tonight, it's completely generic, right? I can only hit the generic aspects of college admissions, the college financial aid process, how COVID-19 might affect your child's chances of getting into their dream college, and more importantly, how you pay for that tuition bill in these uncertain times. Your family's specific situation is what we can talk about in our one-on-one consultation. So without further ado, let's kind of jump into this. Our research has told us, and we've been doing this for over 10 years online, and our research has told us that everyone responded to our personalized invitation. Or why did you respond to the email you received, the referral that you received? Why are you here today? And then why did you take advantage of the free consultation? Or then why did you decide to potentially engage in our services? There's actually 6 top concerns that are top of mind. That being said, I'm excited to offer some real-time solutions to your biggest concerns regarding this historic virus. This is a fluid situation every day, and new information is coming fast and furious. Where do you go for that information? Do you go online, Facebook? How reliable is the information? Can you trust it? What about not having enough time to stay on top of everything that's involved? By a show of virtual hands, who does college funding planning as a full-time job? I think I might be the only one with my hand up. Everyone else has something else to do 9 to 5. Even before the 9 to 5 starts, you have your parental responsibilities, your spousal responsibilities. You're going here, you're going there. The last thing you want to do is at 9:30 to 10 at night, put your college admissions cap on that and the hours of research for the right school with the right fit for the right reason. Where your child has the proper ACT, SAT scores for admissions, or they're in the top 75 percentile. I mean, who's excited about that? And then it's not just the admission side, it's the financial side. Does this school give money? Does that school give money? How much of it is free? How much of it is in the form of loans, right? This stuff can take a lot of time to do proper research. On the same note of coming home late, trying to do this, who's ever filed a FAFSA form before? It's not overly difficult, right? But there's literally over 100 questions you have to answer and put information in, and that's just the FAFSA. Who's filled out the private school forms called the CSS profile? That's the additional form. And then if children are looking to go to those elite schools, those Princetons, Harvards, Yales, MIT, Stanfords, they have their own institutional forms they want you to fill out. If you're doing this late at night under candlelight, maybe a couple glasses of wine, maybe mistakes could happen, right? What about deadlines? For those families that have been through this process, they're probably already aware of the school can have 6 or 7 different deadlines for the admissions application. So if we all heard the regular application deadline, there's certainly a date and a time when your child has to get that application in. Obviously, there's early decision, early action application deadlines. There might also be a rolling application deadline. We'll talk about that in a little bit. An essay deadline, a financial aid deadline. Just for one school, there might be 6 or 7 different deadlines. How many children are applying just to one school? Very few. So there's a lot of opportunities to make mistakes here. And again, we're not even talking about the changing deadlines due to the COVID-19 disruption. By the way, I used to not ask this question until it really happened. Do you even know all the schools your child is interested in? If they're a rising senior in high school, do you know all the schools they're applying to? I actually had a parent who didn't know any of the schools that they were applying to, and there were some big name schools there, and the parent just completely got flushed and was like, oh my God, we can't afford those schools. What if they actually get accepted? How are we going to figure out how to pay for it? Which leads me to the number one reason mistakes can happen. When you're filling out the financial aid forms or the college admission forms, does your child know exactly how much money you make or how much money you have or how much in taxes you paid last year or what's the adjusted gross income? Should they really be filling out those forms? Probably not. You know, it might not happen, but it does happen because parents get busy, students want to take on that responsibility themselves, and that's where mistakes start to happen, which makes parents feel really concerned they're going to not get as much financial aid as possible. They're going to do something that causes them to not get as much financial aid as they're eligible for. So one more quick question. Who here feels like they have a plan for admissions, how they're going to pay for it? Honestly, right? I expect this is why you're watching today. But do you have a plan on how to figure it out? Just like when your children were born, they didn't hand you your child with an instructional handbook, right? You got to kind of figure it out along the way. So typically our oldest child, they're our guinea pigs. So we make mistakes with the older children and we get better and better with the younger children. It's kind of how the process works for college admissions and financial aid and even how to pay for it. There's no handbook for us. For years and years and years, colleges and universities have been purposely, I wouldn't say being deceitful, but withholding information from us because guess what? They want us to pay as much out of pocket as much as possible so they can hold on to that money. So with that being said, let's jump into those concerns. Number one, everyone had experienced or heard the news SAT and ACT test centers are closed during this COVID-19 outbreak. The confusion of what centers are closed, moved, even reopened, then closed again can drive parents crazy. With all this being said, my advice is to go right to the source. College Board, which has been great through this whole process, has a link on top of their website explaining the most up-to-date information regarding their rescheduling tests, making up tests, refunds of, fees you already paid, etc. In addition, it's important to keep up to date on which colleges are waiving their SAT and ACT requirements for next year's incoming freshman class. You hear me say this time and time again today. You need to make sure you have a reliable, knowledgeable, and most importantly in this day and time, accessible resource for these important college admissions changes. In addition to SAT, ACT concerns, many parents are even more frustrated with colleges canceling their live tours and visits. Picking the right school for your student is extremely important, and not being able to visit or revisit the campuses is a major hurdle. Much like buying a house, you're about to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on your children's college education, and you don't want to buy this expensive experience sight unseen. So what are your real options? The first solution, the most obvious, would be to visit the school's website. Many schools offer great pictures and information about their campus. This is where many families stop, and I feel like that's a major mistake. Here's how to take back some control in this part of that college process. Visit some dedicated websites like collegetours.com or even my favorite, youvisit.com, youvisit.com. These websites have invested millions of dollars to give you some of the best, I would say, free virtual college tours available. In addition to just using your computer or iPad or iPhone to virtually visit college campuses, there's a relatively new technology that can help really enhance the experience. It's called virtual reality. As you can see here, I tweeted back in 2015 about using virtual reality. I was lucky enough to test a new toy that was in development called the Oculus Rift. This would later turn into one of the most popular virtual reality headsets in the world. While interning for me, there were some of these high school students who were able to go on virtual tours of Harvard's campus in this example. In the last 5 years, the technology has really come a long way, and in my opinion, youvisit.com has the best free platform. I highly recommend it. So transitioning to another parent concern where the solution isn't as much fun, I'm going to get into AP testing for a second. as a recap, the Advanced Placement or AP program enables willing and academically prepared students to pursue college-level studies while still in high school. Many colleges are, and many changes within the colleges are happening, and AP test is one major change. Traditional face-to-face exam administrations will not take place. In lieu of that, students are going to actually take a 45-minute online free response exam at home. I know what you're thinking. What about cheating? That's the first thing that came to my mind. Well, I've been told that in the exam, questions are designed and administered in ways that prevent cheating. AP will use a range of digital security tools and techniques, including plagiarism detection software, to protect the integrity of these exams. So, my goal here today is to, obviously, I'm bringing up some good information, but to give you solutions as well. Here's a great solution for your students who are currently enrolled in AP classes or thinking about it. College Board, like I said, they've been really stepping up, is offering AP classes and review through YouTube. I would highly recommend your child reviewing, attending these live YouTube sessions. So let's talk about another major concern that every parent is worried about: college admissions deadlines changing. The traditional deadline for college-bound students to accept admissions offers is May 1st. Many colleges have rolling admissions, meaning their timetables are flexible, while others require applicants to accept offers in December, January if they apply early. Every day you are and will be hearing about different colleges and their different ever-changing timelines. If you don't have a trusted source for this type of information, a great resource is the National Association for College Admissions Counseling. I would definitely check it out. So, based on what I've been told, the number one biggest concern with families today is economic uncertainty. More specifically, how will I pay anywhere from $100,000 to $300,000 per child for college? So what is included in total cost of attendance for college? It's not just tuition fees, books, room, board, lab expenses. It's everything except pizza money and drinking money, right? It's everything else. That's called the cost of tuition. So the cost of tuition varies. And by the way, the cost is not slowing down. This is increasing about 6 to 7% every year. It's not showing any signs of backing off, especially in this hostile environment. And why is that? I look at it as pure economics, the simple law of supply and demand. More employers now, more than ever, will be interviewing a job applicant with a 4-year college degree, right? Even if they're going to teach them everything all over again, they're going to really want them to have a college degree to start off with. That's never been more social pressure for children to have a college degree. So now more undergraduates enrolling in higher education programs than ever before in history. And there's less government and state support per student than ever before in history. It's the simple law of the supply and demand. And by the way, if you take these schools, and when I say schools like Ohio State University, for example, Ohio State has a cost of attendance right around, I'd say, $28,000 a year right now. So let's just round that up to $30,000 a year over the next few years. Do you know how long it takes the average student just to get a bachelor's degree? The national average on how long it takes a student to get a bachelor's degree, 4, 5, 6 years? Well, we'll stop there. It's about 5.8 years on the national average. 5.8 years. If you go to any school admissions page, and I was there today because I was updating some numbers for the presentation, they don't publish 4-year graduation rates. Do you know what they publish? 6-year graduation rates. So at the schools I'm going to show you on later on, they're boosting about a 93% 6-year graduation rate. So that means a degree from Ohio State on average costs about $30,000 a year. That's $180,000 for a bachelor's degree from Ohio State University. But it's not just OSU. University of Michigan, UT Austin, University of Florida. It's any in-state school. It's going to be between $25,000, $30,000 a year. Multiply by that by the number of children you have. Can you see how this becomes a bigger than maybe your mortgage balance that's outstanding? And you're having significantly less time to pay for it. And you're even eyeing retirement probably when your youngest is graduating from college. Retirement. At least the number of years is right around the corner when you would like to retire. These are all issues we're facing. Is any of this resonating with anybody watching today? I'm sure it is. So let's get into some myth versus reality. I make too much money. I'm not going to qualify for financial aid. Myth or reality? To me, that's a myth, guys. But if you go to the soccer game, talk to the other parents, or go to the coffee pot at work, talk to one of your coworkers who did this a couple years ago, be careful. If you talk to your brother or your sister, you don't really know how smart their child is or how well they did or their financial picture. Be careful what other people say. Oh, they're not going to get this or you're not going to get that. It's all dependent. But a generalized statement, it doesn't matter how much money you make. You can make $10 or $10 million. You still can get financial aid. And again, don't forget, not all financial aid is grants. Some financial aid are low cost, very low interest rate loans that I was talking about, could come from the federal government or even state government. There's different ways to do this. Another one's, my child's not a great student, so we're not getting any financial aid. Is that a myth or reality? Again, a myth. Yeah, so you know what the bigger issue is? Can your child get accepted to the colleges they're applying to? So this is not just a financial aid or how to pay for a conversation. This is actually really admissions, a student services conversation. Are they taking their ACT or SAT seriously enough? Because those tests can be worth thousands of dollars of financial aid, but there can also be a difference between getting accepted at a particular university or not getting accepted. Are they doing a good job on their essays? Do they have a resume? Do they have any community service that they've done that's actually not court ordered? All right, I'll be the only one to laugh at my own joke. I just want to make sure everyone's still with me, okay? What about this? I own a home, so I'm not going to get any financial aid. Is that a myth or reality? That's actually could be true. So you've heard the golden rule. Well, there's the one golden rule, but the other definition is the one who has the gold makes the rules. Private schools are not subject to these rules and regulations of the Department of Ed. They're private. They've got the gold, so they get to make their own rules. And this CSS profile, and one of the ones I've already filled out the profile before, but on the profile form there, what's the fair market value of your house? What's the outstanding loan balance of your house? What are they trying to calculate? Home equity, right? And if you have too much home equity, they're going to withhold some financial aid to your child, causing you to find more money from other locations, or really causing you to dip into your home equity to pay for school. I know it's not necessarily fair, but don't shoot the messenger. But don't you want to know these things and what number is before you fill out the application and send those financial aid forms? I sure would. For those of you who have done this before, raise your virtual hand. FAFSA. Who's done the FAFSA before? All right. Easy as a four-letter word, EASY. Is that the four-letter word you were used to describe this process? I can see your head shaking through the computer. No, it's not. It's not necessarily quick and simple. Colleges and their financial aid officers may offer help. Is that a myth or reality? I'm going to go with myth here, and here's why. Because a college admissions officer is different than a college financial aid officer, all right? Let's talk about the chair you're currently sitting in. How much does that chair cost at Ohio State University? I told you earlier, you're probably in like a $100 chair you're sitting in watching this webinar. That chair would cost $30,000 at Ohio State University because it's not representative of what it costs. It's representative of the intrinsic value of what it's going to give. Now, that chair at your local community college may only be $5,000. The chair at Duke or Princeton or Yale or Harvard or MIT, it could be a $75,000 chair you're sitting in, and everywhere in between. You submit an application for admissions, guess what? They will do everything in their power to get your child to go to the school, assuming they have the grades, the resume, and everything else is in line. But once your child gets accepted, you get handed off to a college financial aid officer, right? If you've been through this before, exactly what I'm saying. So you get a college financial aid officer. Guess what their job is? First of all, they have a boss, and then they have a boss. It's the chancellor of the university. What does the chancellor of the university ultimately want to see? How big that endowment fund is getting for the university, right? So for the college financial aid officer, this is a unit of revenue. This chair that you're sitting in is a unit of revenue. At the Ivy Leagues, it's $75,000. At state schools, it's around $30,000. At mid-level private colleges, that's $50,000 or $60,000. But don't forget, it's a unit of revenue. So, has this been so helpful so far? Hopefully. Take a look at this. This represents $246 billion. The pie chart represents the $246 billion. The blue is what families on average pay out of pocket every year. Okay, so what is that, about 25%? The red is scholarships. The green is all OPM. Y'all know what I'm talking about with OPM stands for? Other people's money. That's what we need to figure out. How do we get access to OPM? Other people's money. So we talked about the golden question, cost of attendance. Write this down because there's a test later. Just kidding. If you fail, you're going to pay too much and send your kid to college. So cost of attendance, which is COA, minus EFC, which is expected family contribution, equals family need. Cost of attendance minus EFC equals family need. Now, I've already talked to you about the different costs of attendances, the different things colleges, tuition, books, room and board. Now, what is an EFC? It could be, it's different for every family, I would say. But in the age of the parent, it takes into account the age of the parents, household income of the parents, assets of the parents, the students' ages, how many students are in college, student assets, students' income, what's in their names, everything, right? So the entire formula, and that's really 3 categories of families that we work with. So let's kind of go into category 1. The first category of families, just really there's more month than money sometimes. It's really a struggle. Income's not always where it needs to be. Savings are nowhere close to where they want them to be. Maybe non-existent. Maybe there's some net that we have to take care of. This type of family with a student that has the ability to get accepted to the universities that are applying to, this type of family will qualify for maximum, and I repeat, maximum financial aid need-based dollars. But they still have to submit all the forms 100% accurately and on time. If you don't submit them 100% accurately on time, there could be issues. So if I'm an admissions officer, a financial aid officer, and I'm receiving financial aid forms, and as they come in, there's a stack over here that are done properly. And then there's a stack that to the right that might be missing one item. They're going to put that, stack on, and state on the right form and miss the household income, or maybe you just missed something, misspelled something triggered them to say this is wrong. Which ones do I get them all in? I'm going to process first if I'm the admissions counselors. Obviously, the ones that are done correctly. So I'm going to go back to the family here and say, hey, please correct this form and fill it out. But by the time it may be 6 or 8 weeks later and the majority of the money has already been spoken for, I cannot understate how important it is to get the forms in accurately and on time. Okay, does this make sense? The second category of families that work with, depending on the school, is looking at our state schools, private schools, Ivy League schools. Depending on the schools and depending on how mom and dad have positioned their income, their assets, could be the difference between getting the maximum financial aid dollars and zero financial aid dollars. And it's probably the majority of the people watching this webinar today, because the majority of the people we work with. Don't you want to know what it looks like before sending out applications, before we do financial aid forms, before we get the hopes and dreams up of our children, and before we stress out at night wondering, oh my God, what if my child actually gets accepted? How are we going to pay for it? Does anyone else feel that way? Sure, honey, you can apply. Again, you want to know before going into it. And then we've kind of got the category 3 families. Category 3 families blessed with great income, blessed with great assets. Money's not, for this type of family, is really a problem. So they're probably not going to qualify for what we call need-based financial aid. But they still have to submit all the forms accurately on time, because they too want as much merit-based money as possible. They too want to figure out how to lessen their burden. They might have the ability to pay cash. They might just not want necessarily have to pay cash if there's anything legally and ethically able to be done for them, right? So in these types of families, we definitely look at CPAs and accountants, because there might be some income tax savings we can take advantage of. If we can save, say, $5,000, $10,000, $15,000, $30,000 a year of income taxes for this type of family, and it was legal and ethical, and CPAs have signed off on it, isn't that like getting a scholarship? You know what? As long as you don't have to pay it back, that's exactly what we're trying to accomplish. All right. Now, if you could, in theory, get a free ride, and free rides are really hard to come by. If you could, in theory, get a free ride and you don't have to pay for college, instead, you take that money you've paid for college and put away in some account, let's just say 6% for 15 years. It would turn into a little over $190,000 available for retirement. Pay the house off, something for you to use that you can actually do something with, as opposed to going to those rich college and universities. Maybe this is not to the extreme, but any amount of money that you don't have to send to the college and in the schools, you're able to use for your next child, maybe pay off debt, pay off the house sooner, anything, use that money for retirement. Can you guys all see how this is a huge issue, a massively huge issue? All right, so we've talked about the FAFSA, and you've already talked about the importance of submitting it accurate and on time. So I've already started to get into this, but the money for colleges can come from about 4 places: the federal government, the state government, the colleges, the universities themselves, or private scholarships. The federal government has already talked about this, and I've talked about this a little bit. There's just not enough money to go around. More than ever in history, there's less aid from the federal government per student enrolled in college in undergraduate admissions. State governments, I should say, are claiming they're going broke anyway, right? Especially in this crisis, they're all asking for money. So they're more and more saying there's less and less money. We used to have some really cool accessible money from our state government, and that's going away, and it's getting uglier and uglier every year and even every day. with this virus. Now with the COVID-19 strain on state and federal resources, this situation is only getting worse. We've already talked about the private scholarships. Let me ask you a question. Has everyone watching here today been out to at least one college campus, driven by a college campus? Obviously, they're ugly. I mean, the ugliest things you've ever seen before. Just kidding. They're beautiful, aren't they? Not even the so-called cool schools are really just beautiful. They're gorgeous. They're well kept. They have money. They don't just want to spend their money. You get it, guys? It's a business. They're in the business of education, but make no mistake about this. They're in the business of getting you to pay as much money out of pocket as possible. But up until now, no one was giving you the insider rules, and we're here to give them to you. So don't forget, beyond the FAFSA, there's the CSS profile. I mentioned it before. Many private schools want you to submit not only the FAFSA form, but the CSS profile form. I like to call it, we called it around the office, the CSS profile is the FAFSA on steroids. This form drills even deeper into your financial situation, the value of business, equity in your home, everything, etc. More importantly, for divorced families, listen closely. These forms are where you may or may not have to disclose the income and assets of a non-custodial parent. It really depends on the school. This is why literally every single family decides to take advantage to meet with us one-on-one to get these exact questions answered. Now remember, before I explain the cost of attendance minus EFC equals family need, and wouldn't it be great if every school is going to meet whatever that family need portion is? Well, unfortunately, not every school meets 100% of family need. Every school will meet a different percentage of family need. If a college doesn't meet 100% of the family need, guess who is stuck paying the tab? You're exactly right, the family. In addition, not all family need met is equal. Understanding what percentage of family need is met is free money like grants or self-help like loans or work study. Let me give you a kind of quick example with the Smith family. Everyone's heard of Vanderbilt, correct? It's in Nashville, Tennessee, beautiful place. The cost of attendance today, and these are kind of new numbers, I think about $73,000 a year to go to Vanderbilt. Awesome school. This family, let's just say, had an expected family contribution when they did all the forms of a little over $9,000. So this formula, when they filled out all the government forms, the government said that they'd be able to pay about $9,000 before financial aid. It's always more than you want it to be. But if I subtract the $9,050 from the about $37,000, it leaves about $64,000 of need left over. That's need they qualify for financial, as family need. Have you ever told your child, we can't look at the school because it costs too much? Have you ever thought it in your head at least? You may change that story after seeing this. Vanderbilt has a history of meeting 100% of need. And that's all free money. It's a grant. None of it's a loan. None of it's a work study program. It's all free money. That's what we're shooting for. So this family's out-of-pocket cost was a little over $9,000 to go to a $73,000 school. Crazy, right? Now let's look at, I live in Ohio. Let's look at Ohio State University. That's why I keep bringing it up. I know it's got the best football team, the best damn band in the country, in the land, but okay, please don't hang up. The cost of attendance at OSU is right about $28,000 a year. I mentioned this before. Using the same math, $9,000 from $28,000, it's about $19,000 of financial need, right? But the problem with a state school, and I'm not just picking on OSU, both my parents, my sisters went there. I actually went to Miami University in Oxford, Ohio, much better school. Just kidding. But they meet only 74% of that need met, which that leaves about $5,000 short of that number. Who's picking up that shortfall? Mom and dad are, and the child is sometimes. The shortfall gets added back into the expected family contribution. So it costs about $14,000 to go to OSU versus $9,000 to go to Vanderbilt. Now, I'm not saying one school is better than the other, but our goal is to give our family options. And guess what? In this example, it would actually cost less to go to much more, 2 to 3 times more expensive school than it would be to a cheap state school. The key here is to not get scared off by the price tag. Don't you want to know how this works out before you go through the process? The good news is we've created a proprietary software I'll talk about in a few minutes that can project your child's personalized financial aid award offer at any school of their choice. Another main reason why we offer that 1-hour free consultation I was talking about in the beginning of the webinar. So also, this is something that's really interesting. Did you know you could negotiate your child's financial aid award offer from each school? Do you know how it's not uncommon for colleges to misaward financial aid packages? I don't want to say it's really intentional, but your family's financials can usually change every year, and they usually do. And don't forget, colleges are using your prior year's tax returns. By the way, kind of already talked about this. This is a business decision for these schools. So they're going to give you a lowball financial aid offer when you finally get your financial aid offer back. Did you know you can appeal that? Obviously, there's a proven method of doing this. And wink, wink, we are experts at this. Most families I speak with, we don't know, we didn't know that. We were going to get the financial aid offer and say, okay, it's not as much as money as we were hoping for, but always remember you can actually appeal and negotiate for a larger offer. I'm not saying it always happens, but you always have the opportunity. Let's also talk about financial aid leveraging. I don't know how many people know about this. According to an old Money Magazine article, 65% of private schools and 27% of public schools engage in financial aid leveraging. This process is used by universities to determine how little, and I'll repeat that, how little aid needs to be awarded to a particular student just to get their student to enroll in the process and to enroll at that school. Again, how little aid, it's the opposite of what most families think. So it is perfectly legal and ethical to make use of the rules and allow you to get more money. Just like we did with standard deductions, itemized deductions, exemptions, the allowances in our tax code, why would you not apply the same rules and thought process to college funding? Don't forget, this is a business transaction. All right, I want you to look at the University of Chicago PDF. Okay, look at the original award offer dated back December 18th, 2017. The total award for the student was about $36,000 per year. Don't get me wrong, most families would be doing cartwheels to get $36,000 of financial aid a year, but don't forget, the University of Chicago costs roughly about $78,000 all in cost of tuition. I know, unreal. Now to the good stuff. After working with our team and allowing us to do our magic, i.e. appeals and negotiations, University of Chicago increased their financial aid award package to over $73,000 per year. Yes, you heard me correctly, per year. That's an increase of over $36,000 of additional award money per year. Without taking the time to watch the financial aid webinar, deciding to take advantage of our free 1-hour consultation, and ultimately engaging our services, this family would have been overcharged by almost $147,000 for college. I made a bad joke to the family that the school would not even name a library after them. They didn't laugh too hard. So if they had done the process on their own, had they taken the initial award offer as gospel, how much money would they have left on the table for 4 years? A tremendous amount of money. Don't forget, you need to know the rules of the game before you play the game. All right, so let's transition and talk a little bit about 529 plans. That's a big question I get from a lot of people. What about 529 plans? Are they cracked up? Are they all they're cracked up to be? What are so-called benefits? How do they affect financial aid? These are all the questions we get all the time. There are many benefits to the 529 plan, but as most people have seen during this COVID-19 crisis, even the most conservative 529 plans are at risk to the market volatility. In addition, every school treats the value of the distribution of these plans differently in regards to financial aid qualification. The FAFSA traditionally treats it as a parent asset, but colleges that use the CSS profile can treat it any way they see fit. Think about it from their point of view. Let's say you have two students looking for financial aid, and one student has $75,000 in a 529, and one student has $0. Which student do you think they're going to be giving a larger financial aid package to? I know it's not a fair process, but don't forget, this is a business. I'm not telling you to go home and blow up your 529 plans and put in a tin can in the backyard. I'm not saying that. What I am saying is make sure you have someone competent in understanding the rules and regulations of 529 plan distributions, because they're not all they're cracked up to be. Again, we know families who use them quite a bit. Sometimes it works, other times it doesn't. It's just a case-by-case situation. So let's go a little bit more into tax laws. I'm sure everyone on the webinar is completely up to speed on every single tax law that exists in our code. But you have to understand how these complicated tax laws and regulations impact financial aid, right? It's crucial. Tax law is different than financial aid forms and financial aid process. So it can be a crazy confusion. Add confusion and complication to the entire process. But we want to make sure, for example, what are your restrictions on using IRAs, for an example, for college expenses? Do we all know that? I'm sure we all know that, right? Should you refinance your home to pay a college loan off? Does that make sense? Do you make too much money to qualify for that lifetime learning tax credit? Did you even know what that even was? All of these things are important when it comes to your individual situation based on the schools your child is looking at. So what can you do? How not to become a casualty? Well, number one, when should you have started doing this? In my opinion, 17 years ago. Yes, exactly right. The day your kids were born. There's a proverb that says the best time to plant a tree was many years ago, but the second best time is now. The only time it's too late for college funding services and college planning is senior year of your student's college career. Senior year of college. We may be too late to get every semester at a low cost, but if we can get other semesters at a low cost, you're still saving money, right? We should have started doing this a long time ago. Having a freshman in high school is probably what I would say the right time to leisurely pace through, and not everything has to get crammed in. But that being said, we can still do a lot of good for rising seniors in high school. It's not too late. Believe me when I tell you, most of our clients will bring on this year are rising sophomores, juniors, and rising seniors in high school. Current juniors, sophomores, and freshmen are ideal. Now is the best time. I don't know a better way of putting this. There's a baseline. This starts the process. So where's your kid at? What kind of school should they be looking at? Is it now time to build up their resume, their extracurricular activities, their volunteer work? You know, all those things that become important in the college financial aid admissions process. So let's put it this way. If you're going to have someone help you out with these things, you must ask them these questions. Can you show me how to lower my expected family contribution and maximize my opportunity for aid? Can you help me pick the right schools and give me the lowest out-of-pocket cost for me and my family? Can they help you fill out all the financial aid forms, or even in better, actually do the financial aid forms for you, outsource it to them with no mistakes? And not, is that something you can negotiate for on your own, or are they going to be able to help you with that? I guess the way I look at it is, can they negotiate when you get that award offer in your hands? Are they able to do that for you? But when you get a low initial financial aid offer and then you will, what and who will you turn to? Can they be that help? Don't worry. If you make too much money, or you think you make too much money, please don't make the mistake of leaving other people's money on the table. Even if it's federal government money, don't leave it on the table. There's other things we can do. We can do merit-based services for your child. We can try to do cash flow strategies. There's no such thing as making too much money. I keep saying that. So what are your options? You can do it on your own, and the colleges and universities will love you for doing it on your own, just like every other family in history has done. You could let your accountant do it for you, but most accountants and CPAs will tell you they don't want to be in that business. It's a completely different mindset, train of thought, skill set, etc. But if you own a business, we need you to bring your CPA in the conversation, try to maximize deductions and things like that. It's extremely important to have everyone on your team to be on the same page. Don't forget, you need a team. You're about to pay $100,000 to $300,000 per student. How can you not put together a team to help you for this? So what will a college funding specialist do for you? Do they offer guarantees? Should you start planning? What's really the next step? There's so many families get so confused. So our mission for our clients is we want to eliminate the administrative nightmare that this opportunity presents. It's littered with countless opportunities for errors. So many places where small errors can be made can have a huge impact on your overall process. The College Authority and its nationwide network of authorized college funding advisors are trained experts in college admissions and financial aid planning. We want to make sure we use our sound financial planning strategies with you guys, and we integrate that with the college admissions and financial aid process. And then we have to implement that strategy for you. It's one thing just to talk about it, but want to implement admissions for your children so they can get accepted, financial aid strategies to reduce your overall college costs, and college funding strategies to make sure you do it in the most cost-efficient way possible. So here's our guarantee. No hidden clauses, nothing in fine print. If you're not thrilled with our services for any reason, we'll refund your fee pro rata with absolutely no hassles and no hard feelings. Here's our other guarantees for you. We will create a personalized plan for you. Every cash flow modeling we do is personalized because every family makes different money. Every family has different ages, different number of children, different types of schools. We will negotiate on your behalf. With our years of experience, we know the process, including the verbiage and terminology to use to extract as much money from these universities as possible when possible. Don't forget, this is a business. When we have time, we will interview your student, a personal profile evaluation interview with our college counselors to make sure we're going after the right school for the right degree for the right personality of your child, not because their friend is going to that school. We have a team of experts that will complete all of the financial aid forms for you and your family on time with no mistakes. We'll create a list of the right schools that you should be picking from. And we will do income and asset planning to reduce your EFC as much as legally and ethically possible. And most importantly, give you peace of mind, knowing you did everything possible to help your child pick the right fit major at the right fit college and help you pay the least amount of out-of-pocket money as possible. So by a show of virtual hands, how many of you are interested in knowing what your financial aid package might look like at the schools you're interested in before you apply? And the one other, how many of you are interested in knowing if there are any strategies that you can take advantage of to help increase the chances of enrollment of your child while making it more affordable to you? Okay, everybody can put their hands down. So here's what I need you to do. Please click on the online scheduling link and pick a day and time that works for you and your family. Each free evaluation takes about an hour, give or take, depending on your unique situation. Now, in order for this consultation to be free, here's what has to happen. Number one, in order to facilitate the volume of these free consultations we hold, we ask that you schedule your appointment right now. These opportunities are first come, first serve, so make sure you go click on that scheduling link ASAP. Number two, if you're married, both parents must attend. Really, anyone involved in the whole college process, custodial, non-custodial parents, guardians, everybody that's involved in helping make this decision. And number three, this must be scheduled in the next 7 to 10 business days. If you can't find a day and time that works for you on your scheduling link, please email your team and we will try and find a spot or put you on our waiting list. One last requirement. Please make sure you have all the materials or close to as many documents as possible prepared for when we meet with your family for that 1 hour free consultation. The what to bring sheet is included in the webinar materials. So one of 3 things will happen as a result of that initial free consultation. Guaranteed one of these 3 things will happen. You meet with myself or one of my authorized college authority advisors for an hour. You just get to ask us all the questions you've been dying to ask somebody, and we're going to answer every one of them for you. And you'll be on your way. And we'll kind of give you a virtual business card in case you ever need to call us for anything. And we're all fine with that. That happens sometimes. Or number 2 is we'll meet with you and really don't know how to start the conversation. We're going to ask you start talking about your child, some questions, their academics, their scores, their ranks, I would say their finances, everything, the schools. We'll realize there's a partnership involved in here somewhere. You're good at some things, we're good at other things. We make sure we can do something together to help you out and add value to that. Or the last thing, which happens the majority of the time when we meet, we ask you a ton of questions. You answer those questions. You ask us questions. We answer those questions. And then you realize you're kind of way behind the 8 ball on this. And you're looking for someone to personalize a custom suite of services that help you course correct and get back on track your college admissions and kind of that paying for college needs. So, as I mentioned earlier, we've created a unique, best-in-class college admissions and financial aid software. This software is called the My Tuition Score. My Tuition Score is a unique and comprehensive preparation tool for the college process. Your tuition score and report represent your knowledge, preparedness, and financial health relative to the college investment. The lower the score, the more you're likely to overpay for college. As additional bonus, when we meet, we'll supply you with a free report customized to your family. This report traditionally costs about $79 per family if you're buying it directly on our website. When we meet for a personalized free evaluation, we're going to actually run this report at no cost to you. So worst case, we're basically giving you $79 worth of value when we meet. So everyone watching this webinar has a goal. For most families, it's for their child to find the right fit major and the right fit college. Actually, I should say get accepted into their dream college. And just as important, to pay for their child's college education without directly impacting their own retirement dreams. The goal is the easy part. Executing on the goal with a plan is the hard part. This is where we come in to help. We have the blueprint personalized for your family. So I'll leave you with this. A goal without a plan is just a wish.
Thank you so much, Adam. That's so much great information for our parents and students. So if you want to know your specific situation, you can make this appointment. You can take picture here, or you can go to find the information online as well. I'll just stop here for a few seconds so you get a chance to take a picture of this link. And with that said, and I thank everybody for being here, listen to our workshop, and wish the best to your family. Bye-bye.